Hey everybody, welcome to SwJ. Today we're going to be talking about wind generator blades, and we've talked about them in the past that they have not been recyclable, and all the various uses that people have come up with for these non-recyclable massive wind generator blades. Today we get to talk about the fact that the new design is recyclable and how that's possible. Also, be working on my blanket project, just sewing a t-shirt patch onto my denim and khaki background here. So yeah, let's get into it. Get the first stitch in. And yeah, like I mentioned before, we've talked about wind generator blades before on this channel, and different uses for them, like making bridges, and different companies that have come up around the massive demand for new uses for wind generator blades. And always struck me odd that they couldn't do recycle them in some way, but the process that they've been using up till now has been a cork core with an FRP coating on it, which is fiber reinforced polymer. And the fiber reinforced polymer is not recyclable. There's no current way of breaking down FRP into its component parts to close the loop and use it again. Now, there's a company, who was it? I think it was General Electric, who's getting kind of the credit for it, but it was a French research center that came up with this idea, and we'll get to the research center in a second. But some details on the blades. These blades are 62 meters long, and which is 203 feet if you speak that language. And now the blades are made from a component called Arkema's helium resin, or however you might say that. ARKEMA apostrophe S. Helium is ELIUM. So I would say Arkema's or Arkema's helium or helium resin. Some of these words I just don't know. And that resin is known to be a readily recyclable thermoplastic. So for recycling them, they are subjected to a chemical process, and it breaks it down to the component parts, and they can be recycled, reused, that sort of thing. So what they call a closed loop process. Now, the French Research Center there is a French research center, I should say, that united multiple large corporations to come up with the design for these blades. And I just want to comment on how this is a really great example of when the world pools its resources, how great things can happen. Because this French Research Center, or team, if it was just them individually, it wouldn't have, this sort of thing wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have come up with this project. And it all comes down to, I just wish everyone could get along, and I wish money wasn't a thing, and that people would just advance culture because they could, not because it was going to make anyone fortunes. And my usual idealistic rhetoric. Now, as amazing as it is when companies come together to do research like this, I would have thought they would have been able to come up with a little bit of a better name. And what it is, and it's fine. It's the Zero Waste Blade Research Project. Zero Waste Blade Research Project, which makes absolute sense. The only thing is, they abbreviated that down to Zebra, Z-E-B-R-A. Now, if you say that again in your head, Zero Waste Blade Research, Zebra. Where do you, Zero Waste, Z-W-B-R. Pardon me. Cheers. So what they did is they took the Z from zero, Z, zebra. They took the E from waste, the E from waste, the B from blade, and the R from research. So, you know, that's not bad. Three for four. But then they took the A from research. You know, 3 out of 5. I guess 3 out of 5 ain't bad, but it's stretching it a bit. Anyways, they come up with a great idea, like the thermoplastic that they can use for blades for wind generators, and they can't come up with a better acronym than Zebra for Zero Waste Blade Research Project. Yes, yeah. It's okay. Sometimes things are hard. And it might be something lost in translation too, like maybe in French, Zebra makes sense, because it is a French group. It's, they went for it. Anyway, so Zebra Group, they have designed this blade, closed loop, recyclable. They are working on passing their final full stage testing, so this is close to being happening. They've created the first blade, and now they have to test it and destroy it and prove that it can be recycled, and then they can start production, full on production. The other thing that they're looking into is recycling all their production waste as well. So it's still in the process of being a thing, but it is coming, and that's very promising, because in the previous video that we spoke about turbine blades, there's millions of tons of turbine blades that are going to need replacing, and figure out something to do with all those FRP cork turbine blades. So yeah, there was a more sustainable method required, and there it is. Hopefully this will be the answer that we need, and hopefully the chemicals in the process won't be more than it's worth. But I'm assuming these days, if something comes out, that it's a lot cleaner than anything that's come before it. And I say progress is progress, even if it's not perfect. It's tough to be absolutely perfect, and nobody can predict the future with certainty. So, everything, life is trial and error, and when major corporations make mistakes, it happens. People are human. Architects and I shouldn't say architects, but like engineers and people are not as diligent maybe as they once were, maybe not as intelligent as they once were. They rely on technology a bit too much rather than common sense. or just don't have the experience. We were losing a lot of our old engineers and our old just our old knowledge, and that knowledge base isn't being passed along the way it used to be, because people don't want to pay for, you know, a guy to work with an apprentice for a few years. They just want an experienced person to come in and replace them. Well, that's hard to do when you're not willing to hire someone for them to train. So one thing, succession planning is so vitally important when it comes to like bigger jobs, bigger corporations, that sort of thing. And I've found in some cases that's falling by the wayside, and it's just it's debilitating to a person to try to come into someone else's office and look at their pile of papers from the last 20 years and go, okay, what's all this? You know, when that person's retired 6 months ago and it took 6 months to fill the position because there was a grievance on whoever got it, and you know, everything in life that slows things down in a modern work environment. It just makes it impossible to have any sort of knowledge transfer, and we're gonna see, well, we are seeing the results of that, I think, all over the world. Anyway, I have started rambling again, so I'm gonna call that an episode. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate the time we get to spend together. Till next time, keep chillin'. Don't forget your cookie. Peace.